Hey everyone, welcome back to the AWESMR Pop channel. Do you have any idea what we're cooking up today? It starts with a B. If you guess boba, you're correct. These also look like ORBEEZ, so you can call them edible ORBEEZ if you want, or you can just say fruit boba since we'll be using fruit to make these today. Okay, so in order to make these boba treats, you will need a bunch of different fruits. I'll be using blueberries, strawberries, kiwis, and mangoes. And you'll also need tapioca flour or tapioca starch. Same thing. Ingredients are pretty simple, right? Alright, let's start by adding our strawberries into a blender. Well, I'm starting with strawberries. You can start with whatever fruit you want, and blend your fruit until you get a nice puree. That looks good. Add about a third cup of your puree into a pot. Next, you want to add 2 tablespoons of sugar. Now you want to boil the puree over low to medium heat. In the beginning, use a spatula to constantly stir until the sugar gets incorporated. Once the puree starts to boil, turn off the heat. After you turn off the heat, grab the tapioca starch. You want to add 3/4 cups into the pot. Now you just want to mix the starch in until you get a sticky looking dough. Once the starch is mixed in, turn the heat back on to low and knead the dough in your pot until your dough starts to get thicker. Once you have that consistency, take your dough out of the pot and knead it by hand. Make sure it's somewhat cool before doing this part. You should be okay though. So your dough might feel a bit rough or sticky in the beginning. If that's the case, pour some tapioca starch on top and then knead again. What you want to get is a soft clay-like texture. You can also spread some starch on the table as well. Keep in mind that the water content for each fruit you're using will be different, so you may need to use more or less starch for each dough you make. Giving y'all a heads up just in case you think you're using too much starch for one and not enough for another. Don't be worried. As long as you end up getting a soft clay-like texture, you're good. So as you can see, our strawberry dough is smooth, not sticky anymore, and it's super soft. Once you have that, cover your dough with saran wrap. You're doing this so that your dough doesn't dry out. Once you wrap, you can just leave your dough off to the side and work on your next one. Now let's blend these mango chunks. Got a nice mango puree. Follow the same steps as before. Give me a minute while I make my dough. Now let me just knead this dough by hand for a bit. Perfect! Now we have a soft mango dough. Alright, went ahead and made a kiwi puree. Going to turn our puree into a dough now. Knead the dough until it's nice and soft. Awesome! Here's a closer look at our kiwi dough. Alright, now I'm gonna pour in the blueberry puree. Give me a second while I make the dough. Knead this. Ooh, this is a pretty color. Alright, here's a closer look at our blueberry dough. Okay, we have all of our dough ready. Now it's time to make our little boba shapes. By the way, don't unwrap all of your dough at this point. Keep them in the wrap and only unwrap the dough you're using. Now I'm just gonna rip off a good chunk and then roll it into a long noodle-like shape. Now use a dough scraper or a knife if you don't have one and just cut your dough into tiny bite-sized pieces. Like this. Then just grab a piece and roll it into a ball. And you're going to do this for all the other pieces. This might take a little bit of time if you're doing this solo, so if you have any friends or family with you, might want to ask for help during this part, just to speed things up. But hey, if you want to accomplish this all on your own, join the club. I'll speed up a bit. Alright, our strawberry boba is ready. By the way, here's another tip. Just line them up all together like this and cut them up. It'll save you some time if you do it like this. I just did one earlier to give you a better example. Now the rolling begins. So earlier, I thought this would actually take a lot of time, and I thought it would be pretty boring, but it's actually not that bad. Kind of fun doing this part even though it is a bit repetitive. So once you have your boba or tapioca balls ready, throw them all into a large bowl. And then pour a generous amount of starch on top. Perfect. Then use your hands to cover all of the tapioca balls with starch. It's okay if you think there's too much. You actually want that over having too little, and I'll show you why right after this. We're gonna use a sieve to dust off any extra starch anyway, so you can go crazy with the starch. And make sure you have your sieve over a bowl so that you can reuse the starch later. Okay, let's move on to the next step. Fill a pot with water and bring it to a boil. Add your tapioca balls and boil them on medium to high heat for 20 minutes. Make sure you constantly stir during this part, or else some of the dough might stick to the bottom of the pot. You'll start to see some of the tapioca balls rise. That's a good sign. Don't worry if your water is boiling like this. It's totally fine. You'll notice that your water will start to get thicker, more of a syrupy texture. Once again, that's okay, and you're on the right track. After 20 minutes, turn the heat off and cover your pot with the lid for 15 minutes. After 15, transfer your tapioca balls into another bowl. And as you can see, it looks pretty sticky right now. So pour some water over it and wash them a bit. This will remove some of the sticky starch. Look at that! Went from looking like slimy tapioca to pearly tapioca balls. Drain the liquid and put your tapioca balls into another bowl. If you think your tapioca balls are still a bit slimy, you can wash them one more time. I'm looking at mine right now and I'm pretty proud of myself. I mean, I think I did overcook it just a little bit. You can see when I move the tapioca balls around, they're still a bit sticky. I'll know for sure once I do a taste test, but still overall, pat on the back. Now I'm gonna do a little taste test. Oh my gosh, that is amazing. It was like a fruit explosion in my mouth. Yes, I combined fruit and explosion together. It is a little more sticky, so kind of reminds me of rice cake or mochi. Boba is a bit more firm, so maybe I don't cook it as long next time, but I still really like this. I kind of just want to eat this bowl as is. But of course, boba is best served with a drink, so let's add some boba into a cup. Now let's pour in some milk tea. By the way, I didn't go into detail earlier. I only said fruit explosion, but the fruit flavors are amazing. The tapioca balls have the perfect amount of sweetness, and there's a nice hint of that fruit taste at the end. The mango one is really good, but I mean, they're all really good. Honestly incredible. I might just make boba at home now. It's really good with the milk tea too. The boba is much chewier. Might just keep it this way actually. Anyway, give it a try. AWESMR Pop fans! Thank you so much for watching. We can't do this without you. If you're new to the channel and became a fan, click that subscribe button for more awesome stuff. And if you want to be the first person to watch our next video, hit that notification bell to have a chance. See ya!